Timer, please set the timing lights for today's speech at 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and 6 minutes. Today is one of the most exciting days in the Toastmasters Club. We don't just get to hear any speech, it's even better. We get to meet someone new. The icebreaker speech gives us that glimpse into someone's life, their experience, their perspectives. But the icebreaker is also the first step in a good long journey. That first part where we try and go through those first 10 projects for the Toastmasters. It's an exciting journey to achieve that personal goal. So today we get to meet Fallon Walker as she presents her first speech. It's all about change. Please welcome rising star Fallon Walker.
It's all about change. A big change occurred in my life in 1977 when I packed up my 2 beautiful daughters and moved from California to Michigan to be closer to my family and to find employment. I applied for a job in June at Consumers Power Company, and I was hired as a junior stenographer in the stenographic department. At that time, we were located in the Michigan Avenue building. In the steno department, our assignments were to do work that no one else in the company wanted. The secretaries that didn't want to do the nasty work, they sent it to the steno department, so we had to do it. At that time, we were using IBM's electric typewriters, carbon paper, and the carbon paper, we had to make sure copies 2 and 3 were also as perfect as copy 1, so we used pencil erasers a lot. So during this time, my supervisor said to me in my job performance review that I'd never advance in the company unless I went to Jacobson's and got my hair styled and bought closed-toed high-heel shoes. I'm thinking, what a bunch of hullabaloo. So I decided that was time for a change. So I applied for a job in the Regulatory Requirements Department and was hired as a secretary. This was more change, but by then we had gone from the electric typewriters to the ATMS machines. I had worked in revenue requirements for a while, and I transferred onto the Midland project, thinking that this was a great thing because the Midland plant was an up-and-coming thing with the nuclear plant. Well, after a couple of years, I got my pink slip. I thought, boy, this is really a bad hullabaloo time. So I took my pink slip, and they were bumping me back to a junior stenographer. Well, I said, okay, well, I looked outside the company, and I still didn't find anything quite as good as what Consumers was paying as a junior steno. And then change happened, and I was promoted to a secretary in the environmental group. I stayed there for a little while and learned a lot of new things. From there, I went to the gas P&T engineering department and transferred to the Jackson Service Center. That was quite different as the offices were much more casual. I didn't have to wear the high-heel-toed shoes. I could wear my tennis shoes. So after that, we changed to the 5520 machines. We had advanced from ATMS to 5520. And I transferred to the fossil fuel supply department back in the Parnell building. I worked there a couple of years, went downtown and went to work in the news and information department, learned a lot of new things there. Then I transferred to general services department, working for the manager. During this job, one of my amazing responsibilities was making South Haven reservations. Now we all send our own reservations and do them, but at that time, I had to assign the rooms to the people, I had to plan the meals and send them to the group for their review. Well, the best part about this is after the meetings were over, the general manager would send me the bills, and I had to prepare the bill for the department and village department back. The best part about that was alcohol consumption. Because he would say, okay, this group drank 2 ounces of this and 6 ounces of this and 50 bottles of beer or whatever. So it's like, this was quite interesting. And maybe for a little change, I might tell you who drank the most in the company during that time. After that, I transferred to the General Services Department in the Fleet Management area, and I went to Charlotte. And in Charlotte, it was a very big change because it was a 50-minute commute each way. I had a couple of friends, and we got together and carpooled together. But what was different about that job is once a week or twice a week, I had to go to the Secretary of State's office and purchase license plates for the company vehicles. Well, my car cost me $100. Up there, the truck license plates cost between $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. And I'd be buying license plates for 5 or 6 trucks a couple times a week. So my change was to make sure my routine was different every day because I was carrying that cash in my purse because they didn't take checks at that time. So I was carrying between $5,000 and $10,000 a couple times a week. So I never wanted the same routine. I'd always go different. After the Charlotte days, I transferred back to Michigan Avenue, and I began working in the corporate and strategic planning department. Shortly after that, my supervisor became working for a vice president in Dearborn, and I supported a group here in Jackson and also one in Dearborn. The change there was the Dearborn offices were really high class, and I had to wear the high-heel-toed shoes, but I still didn't go to Jacobson's to style my hair. Around this time is when Consumers Power became Consumers Energy, and our group became part of a new group called the Business Operations Group. We became part of the CEA project and the SAP installation. On that team, I became the main administrative person for around 100 people, and I became the team's superwoman. After SAP became implemented, our group became part of the change management team. We moved back to the OAP offices and began helping people deal with all the change. In December of 2010, I interviewed for a position with Gary Crisciot, Vice President of Energy Delivery. Luckily for me, he was impressed with the changes in my career and hired me as his assistant. This was another big change as I went from a non-exempt employee to exempt employee into the executive world. They expect kind of high-heeled toed shoes when you work downtown. As you can tell, throughout my 35 years at Consumers Energy, I went from typewriters and carbon papers to 5520 machines to Lotus Outlook or Lotus Notes into Outlook, using iPads and iPhones. The buildings changed, the location changed, the assignments changed, my workloads changed, and in all, I had to adapt to this change. It is all about change, and I feel all the changes in my career have been a benefit and given me a vast variety of experience. Don't be afraid of change. Change is good.